I would like to bring up the recent lawsuit the US women's national team brought up against the Soccer Federation about women's national team deserving equal rights. However, the federation argued that the men's national team members face tougher competition and that the female members can realistically only compete with 17, 18-year-olds, while these 17, 18-year-olds have to compete with full-grown men for a spot in the national team. Therefore, the higher level of competition warrants a higher level of compensation. We could also look at the NBA and the WNBA and the success rates in entering the draft. In the NBA, only 2 rounds of drafting are available for selection, while the WNBA drafting goes up to 3 rounds of selection, giving players a higher chance to make it into the professional league. The same could be said for tennis, where Serena Williams stayed in the number one spot for 319 weeks consecutively, while Roger Federer could only stay as the number one player only for 237 weeks. We can clearly see that competition in men's sports is on a higher intensity level than that of the female counterparts face, thus explaining the wage and resource gaps.
It's very difficult for sports teams to pay women the same salary as men due to a number of reasons. First of all, media exposure. Around 40% of all sports participants are women, but only 10% are being covered by mainstream media. From an ownership's perspective, operating costs, overhead costs, it's just not feasible for the business to pay the same salary to women as they do men due to less exposure and generated income. Dr. Mary Harding, Dean of Penn State University's Department of Communications, has researched extensively on sports media, and she has this to say: if ESPN could make loads of money covering women's sports, then they would obviously do it. No one does more research on viewership numbers and audience analysis than ESPN. If there was money to be made, they would do it. Another important point to consider is age of the association. The WNBA was established in 1997, Women's National Basketball Association in America, and the NBA was established in 1946. That's a 51-year gap where the NBA could establish a better fan following as well as creating more structure into the players' unions, thus a better collective bargaining agreement or the percentage of revenue the players get from the league. Another issue faced by the WNBA is that half of the teams are still losing money to this day, and because of that, it's harder to pay their players their expected salaries.
In sports. Thus, all there is a grade in physical performance. According to the science, even in a woman's body, they have 30% less muscle than man's body. When we view performance of female athletes through some sport, there is a huge difference. As examined in javelin, the difference between the distance in both gender or world record is around 30%. Moreover, in tennis, golf, cricket, females are significantly less strong and powerful in upper body when compared with their male counterparts. In physiology of man and woman athletes, men own higher advantages in blood volume, red blood cell, lung capacity, weight than women, so that in sport performance, such as in 100-meter running in 11 seconds, when a male would use 90% of his potential, however, women be using almost 100% of her potential. Moreover, a man has a greater response to train stamina in weight training and strength when compared with female. In addition, according to the research, women has high risk to injury within the training or competition, so that Should female athletes be paying the same as men? Clearly, there are other factors that might influence level of pay beyond the amount